Bam! Another set of volume covers to compare. It's one of the things I always really like about doing these is there's enough time in between that like I forget like okay what's the next number, and other than like specific volume covers, I'm not just gonna like instantly think of like the number and the volume art. I mean, I can definitely take a minute to kind of like gauge like okay what area of the series is that, okay what cover would that be based off of what number, but it's not like an instant pop-up. It's not like if I'm looking for something in a specific chapter, because the volume covers obviously are mostly, you know, it's set to a more of like a chunk of the story rather than like a specific scene of anything. It's obviously just the art that goes over it, but it tells you a little bit of what's within it, and then that's obviously one of the things you can use to kind of gauge like, okay, this is what I'm probably looking for. So new Eden Zero volume cover means that comparing it to the Rave Master and Fairy Tail volume covers, and talk about which ones that I like, what exactly about each of them I like, and then which one do I like the most. So we'll start. Usually, I mean, every time I pretty much start with Rave Master, Fairy Tail, and then Eden Zero. Just go in order, you know, which one came first, and then obviously other setup. The Rave Master one, I will say, color-wise, is my favorite. It's definitely the best in terms of just how it looks from a color palette perspective. Lots of nice bright colors. I really like how they all just kind of like mesh and blend in. They give each of the characters like a really nice, just general feel to them, like tone to them. This whole setup, like even Let with like the whole black outfit, but he's looking away, looking like a badass. He's not, you know, he's not really caring for it. Like this, their setup right here, legitimately kind of looks like a music band's album cover, like some old like rock band or something. You have Musica and C just not really looking. They're too cool to look at the camera, kind of thing. And then you have Haru right in the middle. Plu, though, I like Plu's little cowboy outfit or whatever that's supposed to be. The cover itself, it's pretty regular. There's nothing really wild about it, but like I said, I do really like the colors. It's just solid. The yellow background really makes each of the character outfits really stand out, and I'm wondering if Mashima was going for that as just a coincidence. Like each of them have just a different vibe to them, and look really nice with that yellow background. The Fairy Tail one, I really like this one because it goes well with the next volume cover where it's got the members of the main cast at the time, well, and their alliance, going against the Racion 6. You obviously have all these guys lined up: Hade, Angel, Cobra, Brain Racer, and Midnight, and then you have their respective opponents of that arc in the next volume cover that looks really good on that. And on top of that, I really like it when you have stuff like this, like Midnight's part where you have the moon in the background, just like a small added character thing like that, and you have like Cubelius for Cobra and stuff. Like the only way I could see this really being like improved upon is if, with a little bit extra space, Mashima gave each of them like a little personal background about them. Like you have like the motorcycles around Racer or something. Maybe Brain, you have something hinting at Zero. Anything like that. Color-wise, it's pretty regular. Like the title, the blue cover looks pretty nice. It's nothing crazy. Like it's not anything that kind of like adds a whole lot to the layout of it. It has definitely, I would say, the best just general frame of it, because it's simple, but it's really good. All these are really simple, but this one I would say is the best, just for obviously like how it kind of pairs up with volume 18. And I was gonna say that like, well, it's different because that's a different volume cover, but they're obviously made to be next to each other. Like I was just thinking about like volume covers like that, and there's like I think it's the newest, like the next, like the previous one, the current, and the following One Piece covers right now. It's like ones that you know, if you put the 3 volumes together, it makes like one big frame. Like stuff like that, I feel like you have to kind of gauge them like that because they're designed to be grouped next to another one, and it's not like every volume cover is going to be like that. So I feel like it's all right giving like at least a little bit of a specific perk to one like that. Like I do the same thing if there was like this for Rave Master and Eden Zero, and then obviously the Eden Zero cover. The oceans on it, I'm not a huge fan of the way that the color palette on this one is. Like, all the dark colors with the gray and white background, I don't think looks nearly as nice. Like, you can use obviously the Rave Master cover, because it also has, like, a group of people. They're situated not the same, but obviously, like, just the general kind of standing lineup, and then you look at the Rave Master one with how the yellow background makes all the character outfits pop, or like just sit really well. Where the Eden Zero one, like, the color palette is good, but like because of the darker tone, it doesn't make the characters, like, they don't stand out nearly as much. The oceans themselves, like, outside of Lyra, I can't really say anything that kind of crazy about them. Obviously, Juna's not an ocean, but she's on there. Shiki and Witch in the background, pretty cool. Like, this volume cover wasn't like it. It's definitely one of my least favorite Eden Zero volume covers. Like, I'm not really a big fan of this one. This one is just neat because I mean, I like the oceans. I think they're pretty interesting, at least from the standpoint of enemies right now. They're not, just from the fact that they aren't villains. They're an opposing factions military group. Like, they are pretty much just, like, from their perspective, doing their job, doing what they need to for their empire and their king and stuff. So they're done in a little bit of a different manner, and I can understand that. But definitely I would say that this volume cover is not, like, it's not nearly as good as the other two. And it's funny how you can kind of look at, you can compare this with the Rave Master one a little bit, especially, like, even in the center, Haru and Callum both have their arms crossed, but just the way, again, Haru looks, the red pants, he's got the blue shirt, his silver hair and the shoes, look really good with, like, everybody around him in their color palette. Whereas, like, Callum's like gray, like, whole gray set, and then the gray background, the dark frame color, it doesn't look nearly as eye-catching. I would say probably out of these three, the Fairy Tail one is my favorite. Like it probably has the least, like, probably in terms of the way that the colors work, has, like, the least kind of interesting, because, like, Mashima didn't do anything for something like that, whereas, like, the Rave Master one, it was made for the bright colors, obviously making things pop, and the Eden Zero one has that kind of, like, setting, darker, like, null colors. The Fairy Tail one, rather, I think has the best general layout. Overall, I think the colors work the best for the characters, because they're done just to have, like, it's just supposed to be like them in a setup. It's not made to have that either really bright color dynamic or darker color dynamic. And I do like the general framework of it. This is a little bit of a rough one, because, like, none of these three were that crazy. If the Rave Master one was, like, the same color palette, but was done in a, like, better, it's like setup, like, the characters were in a different kind of set of positions. Maybe you have, something a little bit more dynamic, like an action scene somewhere. I like how you have with some of the Alvarez Fairy Tail covers. You have, like, this one I'm thinking of is you have like the cover with Natsu, like, looking at his hand, like, you have him in the front, you have Wall and Laxus in the back, stuff like that. You have more events that give it a little bit more of an like a dynamic cover visual, whereas that one, like, the Rave Master one, has the best color set, but it doesn't have that interesting of a set of the frame. And same thing with the Eden Zero one, but the Eden Zero one, the dull colors, I don't think are nearly as nice in comparison to the brighter colors. But the Fairy Tail one has, in my opinion, the best looking just general frame. It looks the nicest, in my opinion. And obviously, this is, I'm going off of my takes. I would wish the Rave Master one had a little bit more of, like, a really cool setup, because I do really like the way that Mashima set all the colors. You have a lot of pretty cool set of characters on the cover. It's just kind of, like, set in a really kind of standard way, like, maybe not like standard, but kind of pretty regular, kind of almost I guess standard really is the best way to say it. Like, it's nothing crazy. The characters are standing there, they're just in some really kind of cool, like, we're out here kind of pose. Same thing with the oceans and Izuna. But anyway, other than that, comment below. Thumbs up the video from the like button, subscribe, and check out my other videos. Other than that, I appreciate everybody's already subscribed, and I thank you all for listening. Bye.